Good evening, A2 Collective. Welcome to night class. In tonight's discussion, I keep doing that part. Y'all gonna have to edit that. Maybe we just don't do. I'll send you the screenshot. I'll send you the presentation. Y'all can do what y'all want with it. All right. That's I just can't work with 3 screens at one time. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're just not gonna do that part. It's too much. Okay. Good evening, A2 Collective. Welcome to night class. Tonight's discussion is this role for me, how to analyze job descriptions. I'm going to expand it a bit to cover job postings and position contracts and RFPs. And don't worry, it sounds like a lot, but we will tie it all together in the end. Hi, I'm Latricia Friend. And like many of you, I'm a multi-hyphenated, multifaceted individual with various talents, skills, and experiences that I've been able to monetize. And it's in my capacity as a resume writer and career coach that will guide the discussion this evening. Lots of entrepreneurs like to say that they are the founder and the CEO of their company. Given the current definitions and the structure of my business for the state of New York, I'm not there just yet. And like many members here at the collective, I'm a business owner and operator, which is to say the work is done by me. The advertising, sales, the execution of the service, invoices, banking, all the things, every company had me. Plus there's a growing team of offshore virtual assistants and some local contractors, though it's me busy doing all the things that it takes to make it happen. And because I'm so busy doing, it takes quite a bit of force to sit and strategize. And as much as most people, right, us human beings, refuse to believe it, the company you keep does have an impact on your choices. Entrepreneurship can be lonely. And unless you find the right people to do it with, it could be a little pricey as well. But as members of the A2 Collective, you know this already, and you have your tribe to gather with, to bounce ideas off of, and to collaborate with. So make sure you're doing all that and observing the issues that you're trying to solve to run ideas by each other. Because when whether you're a solopreneur or solopreneur, or growing a team or have a full staff, I hope that you're having lots of fun with it. And my greatest hope is for your success and that you surround yourself with really good people. And that's what I'm finding here with the collective. All right, so let's get started, because it's a lot, and explore how analyzing a request for your knowledge, skills, and abilities can best serve you. So part of that is actually understanding the current job market. And today is the last day of the first month of 2024. And it is the definition of may you live in interesting times, right? Kind of like that salutation, that little quote. It's both a blessing and a curse. And right now I'm thinking it's a good one. And I'm giving it a lot of side eye. Because it is beyond, totally beyond a competitive market at this time. There have been mass layoffs, which means there's a surplus of talent, a surplus of qualified and available talent, right? And what this leads to is an increase of contract, people who do work contract all the time, real lowball offers, right? Because many candidates, whether you're a consulting candidate or a contractor or an employee candidate, are willing to temporarily accept some of these offers. That's neither here nor there. But at some point the market shifts, right? And then the talent will leave for a higher paying gig. And then the contract regs, the job requirements are posted again. Doesn't mean they change all the time, but it gets posted again, right? We see it often. Since the beginning of this year, over 5,000 companies have let go of their employers. There have been massive layoffs. In the tech space alone, over 300,000 jobs have been let go, terminated, made available for a cheaper rate. And if you're listening to the talking heads out there, there's more of this to come. And it's a cycle. And what we all do is that we have to analyze these requests of us, of our business, of our talent, our skills as a solution to the problem, right? And a lot of us do this mentally, and we've done it for so long that it's pretty much an innate skill, that it takes us nanoseconds, a first glance to process a job description, a contract offer, and quickly we go, oh, I'm going to file this away. I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll look at this tonight. Maybe not for me, but I'll pass it on to a colleague, or ditch it entirely, because if it's not for me and it's not for the group of people I surround myself with, I know their value. I know their worth. If it's not worth my time and energy, it's probably not worth theirs as well. But a lot of people don't do this, or they don't recognize that they do it in a way that serves them really well. So we're going to go through it. And these requests for information for you to solve all stem from this. Every business exists as a solution to a problem. Yours, mine, his, hers, solution to a problem. So that means that every employee candidate exists as a solution to a problem. Every job posting is presented to the public as a solution to a problem in the form of employee, right? So a job posting is a request for information, right? Now you're seeing how this kind of ties together: job description, job posting, RFPs. So a job posting is a request for information. It's a company sitting back and saying, who out there, who among the John Q public is my dragon slayer? It's a request for a solution. And an RFP, a request for a proposal, is a request for a solution in the form of another business entity. Their solution is not going to come from an employee, it's going to come from another organization. That's just the terminology and the basis of the structure of those two things: a job posting and an RFP. So there's a lot of language in there. Request for information, a request for quotes. It's very similar in saying that here's my problem, I need a solution. So let's talk about these differences and how these terms correlate. Because unfortunately, a lot of times we, the public, use them interchangeably, and it's from an HR perspective, from a grant requester's perspective, from a grant funder's perspective, they are different terms. And so if you're an expert, if you're a solution, you know the correct terminology for your audience. Okay, so a job posting versus a job description. Let me say it clearly, is that a job posting is a advertisement to external candidates. Who among the John Q public, who out there can solve this problem for me, right? It's usually written by the HR department of a company, HR person. Sometimes that's what it is, one sole person. And it's based on the job description that the hiring manager has created, hopefully well, whose ideal solution, ideally, a hiring manager says, my solution exists here. So to my internal candidates, this is what my job description is. Can you solve this problem for me, right? And when job candidates see that, they focus on a couple different things, whether they look at a job description or a job posting, because you can get a job posting through, I'm old, a newspaper article, or nowadays LinkedIn, but it can also come from someone internal where I go, hey, hiring manager, we might not have the talent here, but I know someone. Okay for me to share this job description, this internal document with the outside world, to a few select, to one person who I think has the knowledge, skills, and ability to sit in this seat. Right? So that's how they come about. And unfortunately, we kind of use them interchangeably. And when someone sees that, they go, okay, what's the important part? The title. What are you calling me? That's important for some people. For some people, I don't care what you call me, you paying me, right? So it's the title and the pay band. What's the salary range? What's the hourly rate? That's what people focus in on. It's a huge, it's a 1 page or 3. But what people focus on at the top or the bottom, title, pay, location. Much different these days. Is the location on site? Is it hybrid? I'll come on site when I need to, but I can mostly work from home. Is it remote? Remote meaning work from anywhere. Because I can show up here and work. And I can sit at my kitchen counter and work. I can work just as well from a poolside cabana. Is it remote? Right? Because sometimes that makes a difference for people. The county, the parish, the neighborhood, the city, state makes it a better viable opportunity. So that's what most people look for in the job description or job posting. And then they'll probably look at the requirements, right? What are you looking for? How many years? Any education? Other requirements that might make sense. So my question to creatives is, are you approaching a job posting? Are you approaching a job description? Because I'm hoping that most of your opportunities are coming by word of mouth. I hope that most of your opportunities are being passed to you because my husband's looking for something and I think Susie could do it, as opposed to searching online, searching on Indeed, searching on LinkedIn, picking up a newspaper, right? I'm hoping that you're getting the inside take, the job description versus the company's external, where's my solution to this? Okay, so how is a job description like an RFP? So if an RFP is a request for a proposal, that can cover anything from building a highway to marketing a project, right? It can be anything. So a company it puts out this request for information for a person to solve it. And as I mentioned before, an RFP is that as a company, I'm looking for another agency to solve this. There's a couple of reasons for that. There's some legalities, there's some tax benefits. Business to business, from a business point of view, always better. Know your audience, right? So a business would rather do to a business because the terms, the payments, the legalities, the responsibilities, the risks assumed are vastly different if it's a B2B agreement versus business to an employee. It's just different structure. So the language is different based on the type of agreement, the type of contract that's going to fall in line. And like, there's a whole night class with a group of night classes with a lawyer. Take those questions there. But I just wanted to have the terminology for the audience. As a resume writer, my thing is always, who are you writing this document for? The recruiter or the hiring manager, right? As a person who's always looking for a good grant, who's my audience? Whose eye do I need to catch is going to give me the money? Grant money, no payback, right? So know your audience so that you can structure it right. Okay, so an RFP will have a summary. Company A wants something from company B. That's the scope of the project. The specifics around the requirements, the expectation for completion. Like for an employee, we're going to hire you. You're going to be here for a while. It's not the 50-year golden parachute. That doesn't exist anymore. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? But it is, we think this can be done in 6 months. We definitely think this can be done in 12 months. This is an 18-month contract, maybe with extension, or it's 6 weeks, right? They're very clear on what they're looking for. Probably because by the time they've gotten to a request for proposal, they've in the past done a request for information. They've done a request for quotes. They've gathered all the things they need to make sure this RFP is on point, hopefully. And they're looking for a process that's fairly competitive, but it's laid out, right? Unlike being an employee where I'm just gonna put it out there, we'll see. I know it's competitive. You know what you're getting with an RFP, right? You're specifically very clear in an RFP as to the evaluation of you, your company, your solution, and the selection procedure, the selection process, versus being an employee candidate. And the hiring process is, who do you know? Did they like you? Were your earrings too large? Were you wearing a color that doesn't work for them? Is their culture gonna be the block for you from getting this position or not? RFPs very clearly laid out, primarily, again, because of the structure, B2B. We've got to be clear. If this goes to arbitration, if this goes to court, we've got to be very clear as to how we set this up, what we were looking for, how we were going to pay. It's got to be laid out specifically. Hiring does that too. It's just not as clear to the person on this side of the desk, right? So this sounds really familiar, right? You see the interchangeability, and are you starting to see how looking at a job description as you're shifting from a 9 to 5 person to a 5 to 9 person, how that works? I hope so. All right. So we're going to take the job posting, the job description, and the application process and break it down into the simplistic concept that is the foundation of it, right? Which is very helpful for those of you also starting to build a team as an employer. What does that look like for you on the other side of that desk? And just remember, all of these are essentially an individual group asking for a solution to a problem. They're asking you, would you be interested in loaning your future time to help me with an initiative or a problem that's important for me to complete? And maybe it's important for me to complete in a certain time or in a certain budget, or in a certain location. Okay. So it's an ask for your time. It's an ask for your knowledge and expertise. It's a big ask for access to your network of experts. Be very clear on that. They want you and the doors you can open for them. So if that's what you're going to do, if you're going to loan your future time, then shouldn't you approach this opportunity, whether it's a job description or RFP, in similar ways, right? So if you Google how to respond to an RFP, it's a big rabbit hole. Be prepared. It's a long rabbit hole. I hope the conclusion that you come to is that focusing just on the price or just on a future is not always your best idea. Same thing as for employee candidates out there that only focus on the title, only focus on the high range of the pay band. You lose a lot of stuff in there if you're not analyzing it, right? And this analysis is truly what's best for your business, right? Yes, more funds are a good thing. More funds are a great thing. But we all know that all money isn't good money, right? Is this a request? Is this request that you're looking at, this opportunity that you're exploring, is it in alignment with your business goals, with your business's mission and values, with your personal mission, your personal values, with your personal goals, the goals and the mission and the values of your community or the communities that you're in? For me, I always say the Venn diagram of my life is that I'm a consultant, an entrepreneur. I have a lot of experience in hospitality and in high niche hospitality and luxury. I'm a foodie, right? And I curse like a merchant marine at times. So where does that all intersect in someone who is a member of quite a few organizations and mentors to youth? Where does that all fit in? So when I look at an opportunity, as much as they're looking for me to be the solution for them, I'm looking at how it fits in to everything else that builds up me, right? So every contract as a consultant, whether you're a designer, a volunteer, an employee, is a relationship, right? So beyond the dollars, will this relationship serve you well? Will it serve your business well? Will it bring in referrals for you? Will it bring in new resources for you? Does it take you to the next tax bracket? Does it allow you to pay better tithes in your community? What does this relationship do? Will this contract benefit you, right? So when replying to a proposal, the way I'm looking at it is that if I'm applying, I'm getting this contract. If I'm applying to this proposal, I'm getting this contract. If I'm applying to this job is mine, right? I go in with that mindset, but will it serve me well? Does it serve me best? Does it serve me better than another opportunity, another contract, another job posting? You have to decide that. Okay. So let's think about what this analysis really looks like. So I'm a coach in the hospitality industry and for C-suite supports, C-suite support individuals. And then this is similar to a lot of entrepreneurs I know when I coach my clients, is that consultants, C-suite support, they put a lot of time. We put a lot of time and energy into serving. So an executive assistant puts a lot of time into serving that executive, a lot of energy. A personal assistant does that in serving an individual or a family. As a volunteer, I do that in serving my community, right? And oftentimes we don't take that same degree of knowledge, skills, and ability and turn it around and focus it on ourselves, right? So this is what this analysis is going to do. It's going to be a combination of skimming the opportunity, skimming the job post or an RFP, and in this quick review, this in a glance of a job description, find out if, yeah, not for me. Maybe for her, not for me. Not for me, but I know that so-and-so is looking for a job. Maybe I need to forward it to him. Oh, hey, my bestie's son is looking for a role. Maybe it's not for him either, but this connection is gold. And so what do I need to do to foster that connection between these two people? Maybe I just need to post this and let it be a blessing to someone else. So I'm going to take you through that process for how I look at it, and then how you can adapt and extrapolate it for yourselves. And this is what I've done for a long time, many years ago when I was an employee, and that I've adapted to being a business owner. It's just taking that request or job posting and doing a really deep dive into it to see if it's best. And you've heard this before from the other side, right? For those who have been employees, for those who have family members who are employees in this job market, for years, the public knowledge is that a recruiter or a hiring manager takes a few seconds to skim, to glance at a resume. Why? Why don't they? I put all this time and energy. I pay somebody to do this. Why don't they take the time to read it? Because they take their experience, and that when applied in this way, it's an asset, right? It comes from years of reading resumes, editing job descriptions, crafting job postings, and interviewing people. When you put a lot of time into that, you can sort of get a feel of what a document holds, right? Whether you've printed out and you're holding it in your hand, whether you're looking at it on a screen, especially if your focus at the beginning was on as a recruiter or a hiring manager, was on a small set of titles or roles, and then it builds on, more titles and larger roles. You really get a feel for it. For example, I'm sure there's a couple of graphic designers in the collective. In a few blinks, if you're given something, you can have a graphic done to the point that it's almost a complete draft, and it just needs a few tweaks based on feedback from the client. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in Canva just trying to get some little line or element to move just a bit to be perfect, right? It's your experience from years, from hours, in the 10,000 hour mark of doing something that allows you to take in information, taking branding colors, what people want to do, the feel for it, the platform that you're using, and put it out in nanoseconds, right? Less than a minute, you can pull something together, or really close to a complete draft to submit to someone as a mock-up. Recruiters and hiring managers do the same thing. They've taken their experience, they've put in that 10,000 hours, They literally can look at a one-page resume, a two-page resume in under 10 seconds and go, no, no, maybe. Oh, I'm going to dig deeper into this one. And so to be really conservative, a one seat, one job, over 100, we're just going to be really conservative, 100 people applying for it. A good recruiter, a great hiring manager is going to whittle that down really fast because that's not the only seat they're trying to fill. So it really does take a few seconds to do, right? But as you, as a designer, right, the graphic designer who can do this really quickly as well, while those of us struggle in Canva, it's your knowledge, it's your experience that changes the amount of time to complete a task and hopefully for you to charge appropriately for it. I'm all for that. I want you to make more money. So what on average does this resume, this career document highlight? For the most part, it doesn't, your resume doesn't highlight your salary requirements, right? Never has. I don't know if it ever will. It's possible, hopefully in my lifetime, but right now that doesn't happen. Though job posting requirements currently are, there's some legalities, some legal requirements that a job posting, an external push for a solution, is that it should have a salary band. Some of these loopholes are ridiculous. Oh, $1 to, $350,000. I'm sorry. Yes, that is a range, but it means absolutely nothing. Can y'all narrow that down a bit? So there's a lot of loopholes. It's not in North America, in the United States, it's not a nationwide thing. Some states, some municipalities, some cities are doing it. But it's going to take a few more years for it to be a nationwide initiative. And it is still gonna be loopholes because that's what we do. We try to circumvent what's going on, especially a business, right? What's a business in business to do? Solve a solution and make money for its stakeholders. We'll get to that later. Okay. So knowing that, how many of you have been kicked out of a job process or a request for a proposal because the company perceives you as being too expensive? Right? It happens. And that's because not every career document that you have highlights your best features. Does it clearly demonstrate how you come in to solve a hiring manager's current pain point and any pain point or problem in the future, right? Most employee candidates, professional documents only show what they have done rather than what they can do. As creatives, your documents are usually much better because it's so much clearly more tied to accomplishments and achievements for a bigger piece of the pie, right? So hiring managers always have to guess as to what this future person can be in their organization. All right, so we talked about RFPs. You might even see it as RFX for the option, X being all the other options, information, request for information, request for proposals, request for quotes. There's a couple other ones, but those are the basic ones. And it's when an RFI, so we talked about an RFP, proposal being really done well if the company has already done a request for information, which that's their fact-finding mission, right? That's their deep dive, asking JoQ public, what do you do? How would you go about this? How, we're not really into this space yet and we're not sure. So we're asking for information, a request for information. It's a fact-finding mission. Basically, they're launching a missile and they want to see who's coming to look for the launch pad. That's a request for information. It's really simple. It's fly fishing, where I'm just going to stand here in the shallow ends and cast out there and see what bites. That's it. That's what it is. It's a lot of open-ended questions that allow for the vendor, the business entity that's the solution, to talk about your full range of offerings, right? Typically an RFI will state the broad business challenges that they're facing, and then you can tailor your response within that broad range, narrowing in on your expertise and what you can do for them. So that's where you can explain your position in the marketplace. the industries that you specialize in, how you license your product, and what fees they can expect, right? It's totally different. But it sounds very similar to a job search, right? So that your resume, your LinkedIn, your career documents, the interview, the offer, the acceptance is a job search. And again, we've talked about how in shambles the economy is, and that's why most of us are entrepreneurs, right? And it's challenging, but for me, getting out of the rat race, and probably for you, that I like a clearer chessboard as opposed to working with a disheveled, deck of cards, right? An RFP is so much more fun and interesting and a relief to deal with, because it's simple, it's set up, it's blocks of information. I'm answering your blocks of information I'm going through. A request for quote is more of a quantifying thing. What they're looking to see who can do this task and at what price. They've done all their information gathering. They've cast enough fishing lines to kind of narrow in, here's the spot we need to be focusing in on this lake, to what they want to do. And then the RFP is proposals. It's the outcomes. We know what we're doing now. We spend a little time here. We figure some things out. We know which way we're going. And it's usually from government contracts, because they have to be unbiased, because the person giving the money, the funder, the guy back here, wants the selection to be fair and beyond reproach, because again, the whole legality things. If this gets pulled into arbitration, we want to come out on top. Oh, and if we don't, because maybe we're not being very unbiased or very fair, at least we don't get charged too much, right? So it's the laws and regulations, but the RFP method is respected because it's that balancing act, right? Or it seems to be more on the up and up. I know people who are heavily involved in grant proposals have a whole different process and perspective for it, but we're just gonna hit the guidepost on it today, because as creatives, we do the same thing. I have a friend who's a fashion designer. So side note, I sew. I can go to the store, I can pick a pattern, I can pick the fabric, I can lay the fabric out on a cutting table, I can pin all the little tissue patterns to the fabric, I can cut it out, and then I can sew it up on my sewing machine, right? I can do that. My fashion designer friend, Pam, I have watched her whip up a dress in minutes. Minutes, like just like the graphic designer who can go, oh yeah, I can take your little thing, and I'm still sitting in Canva going, I think it looks better here. No, maybe go down just a little bit, skosh, move it down a skosh. I have seen her at her store, a handful of friends are in there talking or sipping wine, we're having nibbles, and somebody will mention an event or an anniversary, and she'll walk over to a bolt of fabric, she'll measure it out, she'll lay it on the floor, take a pair of cutting shears and cut out a dress. Works till kiki in, she's taking a sip of wine, she's taking a bite of a nibble, she walks over to her serger, and in less than a half an hour, here, try this on. That's her expertise. That takes all of that information and narrows it down, right? So I want you to be able to do that with all the opportunities that come before you, to analyze them. I want you to take through your experience of so many years, and apply it to maybe you have a business and you're still looking for a job, to apply it to every client's request, to apply it to every friend that goes, my husband's company is looking for something. How do you take that information and analyze it, right? And you start with that dreaded resume, right? You start with your portfolio, you start with your LinkedIn profile, because you know it forwards, backwards, upside down. You know your knowledge and abilities, you know when you've worked somewhere, you know who you've worked for, you know the skill set that can be applied, right? Which toolbox do you need to go into? And you know the certifications that you've earned. So let's kind of tie it in together. I'm going to use my resume as a document to kind of go through. So give me a moment to share my screen and pull up a document, and then we're going to go right through that. So let's see. And that's the resume we're going to use, but let's actually go through a job posting first. Okay, let's share this one. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. We're gonna say I'm an event planner. It's a tool, it's a kit in my toolbox. It's a tool I can use. So, and I pulled this right from LinkedIn. Yeah, earlier today. So let's look at it. So what do people look at first, right? Title, location, pay. So right here, we're gonna look at title, location, and pay. So title, event conference consultant level 5. I like that. Springfield, Mass, or Boston. Boston is preferred. Pay is a little low for me. For regular event planners, they might go, yeah, that's pretty good. It's a hybrid position. Oh yeah, we like that. It's contract and it's mid-senior. I actually went through this a while ago. So for things that hit my radar, it's in bold. I went through and I bolded, right? I highlight all money in green. Money, budgeting, forecasting, finance, any phrase or word like that, any quantifiable information, dollar signs, goes in green. That's just the way I analyze it. You figure out what works best for you, but money green is a beautiful color. Okay, the skill set they want people to have, event planning and budgeting, I have that, plus 7 more. This is LinkedIn, so I didn't go clicking all that. And then earlier this afternoon, there were 4 applicants. All right, that's nice. That's a person I'm not, 2 degrees of separation. I could find Vinod Kumar. I can find them. So that's good. I like that. We'll talk about LinkedIn in another thing, in another session. Let me expand this out so you can see it a little better. Start date right away. That could work. Aha, big thing right here. And actually, I'm going to color this green because duration tells me how long can I get this money? 10 months with a strong possibility of an extension. Event planning in and around Boston for 40s, high 40s per hour. It could be extended to a year. That's what I'm saying. 10 months, strong possibility of extension takes you out to 12 months. They want to start now. Not much traveling. Would only be for team meetings, maybe once per quarter. So that's 2 or 3, depending on when they bring you in. That's 2 or 3 times to travel. If it goes for a year, and since the extension's only 2 months, may not hit, that quarter mark, you're going to travel 2, maybe 3 times. If you don't like to travel a lot, that's not bad. I like to travel, but still good, right? So they're looking for a contract. See, I've gone through this. They're looking for a contract role as an event conference producer. So contract I like, I highlight that in bold. Event contract producer, I highlight that in bold. Consulting, execute small to medium-sized meeting and events. What is their definition of small to medium? That's a question for an interview. Probably that first interview with someone. I want to find out if their metric matches mine. And to execute the stakeholders' vision within budget parameters. So that's about money. I gotta make that green. Leading in management, I like that. That's in my wheelhouse. I usually do that in blue if I'm doing it like this. Now, again, I said most of us do this, and it's an innate skill. We do it in our heads really fast because we've done this before. I used to print this out on paper, and between 2 different color pens and a highlighter, I would circle, right? All the management, leadership, team building would all get circled in blue. All the money stuff would be highlighted with a green highlighter. All the things I wasn't sure if would get circled or underlined or boxed out with a red pen, right? Used to do this physically on paper. Now I do it on the screen. Then I moved to doing it on the screen. Now I do it up here really fast. Food and beverage management, have that skill. So I would bold that to go, yes, I can do that. Development of event specification guidelines, that's development of documentation. Love doing that. Communications with stakeholders, yeah, I'll talk to you if I have to. Right? So communication is fine. I do that. I'll bold it. Full on-site execution. I love being in an event space. I love being in a venue. I love the front of the house and the back of the house, right? This role is part of the event and conference management team. Okay, That's good. How big is that team? I don't know. So that's a question I have. How big is that team? So pink, not red, because it's not too crazy. Oh, so here's the team. Not a lot of information about the team, but it's there. Responsibilities include, but are not limited to, business programs, meetings, and events. Okay, so board meetings, sales meetings, sales programming, events, annual things for the sales group, annual things for, maybe it's a medical product and sending pharmaceutical people for, okay, whatever it is. Sounds good. I like it. And so what do they want you to do? Partner with their meeting requirements, leading, I love to lead, project planning, sounds good. I like to do that. Managing the meeting budget, that's that word again. So that gets highlighted in what color? Green, because it's talking about money. Sourcing venues, I love sourcing venues. I love going and exploring places and talking to people and finding out what they can do for me. Contract management, that is, that's interesting. So contract management is both documentation and money. So in this context, I'm gonna put it in green. And maybe bold as well, right? Because it's part of that leadership, mental capacity that you have to do. Attend travel, that's fine. Website registration, fine. Mobile app development, not my thing, but that's more of consulting with the business partners to do that. So that's okay. Food and beverage management, again, all up my alley. And that's what you do. You just go through the document and you figure out what makes sense for you, right? You pick your color scheme. Again, I like green for money. I like blue for leadership. I like yellow or pink for, I need to ask you about that relatively early in the process. Makes my life easy. Red for, I don't do this. I may have the skill set, but I don't do this, right? Because there's things that you'll do that you like, you love, you loathe. If I loathe doing it, I refuse. How much money you pay me? I'm not doing this task. I don't want the job. I don't want the opportunity. It doesn't work for me because you're taking me outside of my boundaries. And so that's what you do. You kind of go through it and you figure out what your coloring system is and what makes sense for you for this opportunity, whether it's a job posting or it's an RFP or it's an RFI or it's a job description. You go through this and you figure out where you land. Here's how I use that. With my resume, I'm gonna stop the share on this document. Okay, here's my resume. Very simple. It's the bare bones one that I can easily reformat to make it look something nice. This is what I do. So, planning is complex, so that would be bold. How many years? 15. Hospitality, customer service, resource, scheduling, right? That's what I do. Project management, every event's project, I love to do it. Records management, what was that thing about event specification details? That's records management. Event planning for up to 250 guests. Now they were talking about meetings and business events, and they said small to medium. What's their parameters? Because my max is 250. And if they say up to 500, maybe I'm not the person for that team. If they say, oh, 150 to 200 people, right in my wheelhouse, I'm interested. I also provide concierge and guest services, training for formal and informal meal service for front of the house and back of the house. Our salespeople need to know how to, eat at a formal table. I can work with them on that. We're going someplace and it's a venue and we're setting up and I walk around, I go, so let's just have a little conversation here. We could, how are you serving this? And then 2 or more people give me serving from the right as opposed to serving from the left and clearing for the right. I need to have a conversation with this banquet manager. I need to have a conversation with the sales manager at this convention hall. That's not how we do things. So all the things, right? And so you kind of go through your resume and you highlight where you fit in, right? You do the green, the blue, the bold, the red. Well, you shouldn't have really red here, but you see where I'm going with, right? You know your document really well, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your portfolio that you give to people when you're searching for an opportunity. You do the reverse on the job on the job posting, the job requests. Now, a lot of us, are already in the point where you're very clear that you're not looking for a job. Yes, I celebrate you. And so you're looking more at an RFP. All right, so you're looking at something closer to this. You're gonna do the same thing. Is it? Yeah. This is a request proposal for an event planner for the Minority Corporal Council Association. Yay them. Right, so I've gone through already bold, right? They're looking for a qualified and experienced event planner. Ding, 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 for galas. Hello. To be held in New York City. This is a very specific one. This is also something in the past. This is to be held in New York City at the American Museum of Natural History, which beautiful space. And it already took place, 2019. Doesn't matter, it's a sample, so we're looking through it. And the event planner service will include, but not be limited to, concept development. I love doing that. We've already said that that's in my wheelhouse. Development. Planning, assistance with sponsorship, not necessarily my wheelhouse. So I might put that in pink because I'm just not sure if that's something I want to do. Event production, on the money, especially at that space. I know it and love it well. Overall event management and coordination, I'm here for it. Including day of event coordination, that's my jam. How come that didn't bold? Budget management, I can do it. Love doing it, especially doing it there. That means we have some money to spend. Oh, that's too big. Which is should be green. Which is always my thing. I love spending money. I love spending other people's money. And programming, implementation, all the things described in the scope of work, the job description. That's the scope of work. That's the scope of work agreement. That is the boundaries in which we are paying you to do this. Much, much better than a job description. So you kind of go through there, and they have a prospectus, which means they know how much they're going to spend. You can go to their website, which is always good. They lay it out for you. The pre-awards general reception starts at 6 p.m. It runs an hour. It tells you it's going to be held in the Milstein Hall of Ocean Life. And that's going to be pre-awards, our VIP reception. It's going to take place during that same time, but over in the Gottsman Hall of Planet Earth, not too far away. The gala awards ceremony runs from 7 to 9. And it takes place in the Lafrac Theater, followed by a post-reward reception from 9 to 11. This day of will start at 4 and run to midnight. My expertise, probably maybe even 1 o'clock, depending if you have to be that last person out. If I'm running the show, 9 times out of 10, I'm the last person out. That's close to 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, granted, we don't have to do the cleanup. The museum staff will take care of that. But just getting all your stuff boxed up, getting all your stuff out, because you want your guests to leave first, right? Before you start tearing things down. Guests aren't leaving at 11:30. It's a museum. Depending on how often this gala is held, you probably get to 11:30 because you're bringing in money for them to a certain extent. But they still got to pay their people to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they can't clean until 3 o'clock. So it's a big day. Heavy hors d'oeuvres, standing reception. Here's the scope of work, right? And then you go through the same thing. What do they want you to do? They want you to do, here, I've already bolded this, ongoing communication, project plan, budgets, timelines, all the things. Here's how the analysis works, right? You've taken this document, this request for proposal, knowing your work history, knowing your resume, you've mailed it, you've gone through all the colors, the bolding, all the font attributes, you've done that. Here's the analysis. Great, made this all happen. How many times are things in green? If you see the word budgeting and you've highlighted 7 instances of budget, finance, money, this is a high position. This is a high aspect of this position. High aspect of this contract is that the person who's giving us the money, they're gonna look at every penny. So your financial acumen has got to be on point, and that's fine. If that's not good, if your resume doesn't have money and budgeting and QuickBooks and all that written on it at least at least 50% of the time that you've counted it up on the request for proposal, this request for information, this opportunity written out. Don't apply. That's not for you. It's for your friends. It's for someone else in the collective. It's from someone in your house of faith who has a well-established event planning business, but it's not for you. Right? If it's a lot about, if they say hold the hands of the stakeholders, the shareholders, and that happens, 10 times, that's a lot of pressing of the flesh. That's a lot of handshaking. If your comfort level is not built for spending that much time in front of people, smiling and laughing and kissing babies like a politician, maybe that role's not for you. But the real way to figure that out, again, back to when we were all employees, maybe some of you weren't, God bless you. Back to when we were all employees and we went title, where's it at? And how much money can I make? You kind of gloss over all the nitpicky things that are really important. Don't do that as a business owner, right? I want you to really take the time and do it for a year. Do it for 2 years, consistently. Print it out if you have to. Pull it out on your screen, blow it up, go through and highlight everything, and then look at it and go, they mentioned money and finance 8 times. My resume mentions budget management and finances twice. May or may not. I'm not saying don't apply. I'm not saying not put but it might not be the right thing for you. You know you. You know your team that supports you, your bookkeeper, your CPA, your lawyer, your virtual assistant. You know what you can do. You know what your team can pull off. But if they're asking, if you go through and you analyze and they're asking 15 times for leadership management and, communications, and that's not your forte, that might not be the role for you, because that business is very clear in what they're asking for. They have laid it out. The person who wrote it, very similar to an HR director, someone who has read through RFPs, who has written RFPs, who has had these conversations to build it. It's just like a recruiter or an HR person who has read resumes, who has worked with a hiring manager to build the job description, who has taken that job description and created the job posting that goes out to John Q. Public. They know it. They know exactly. This is why they build it that way. This is exactly why they put budgeting, finance, and QuickBooks and everything else in the proposal 15 times. Because for the guy who's funding the gala, Latricia, how did you pick this person? You know how I am. You're not going to question me and my abilities. I'm going to lay it out. Money, 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 money. So that people understand that is a skill set that we're looking for, right? Sponsorship, budgeting, finance, all that's laid out there to say they want you to do this event, but they also want you to bring in money for it. It's not for me. It's for someone in my network, but it's not for me. Okay. So all this to say that there is importance in aligning one's strengths with the requests for your time and energy. And you have to take a few minutes to analyze and figure that out. You need to know what you and your team can pull off. You will get to the point that you can look at a request for proposal, that you can hear someone tell you about, oh, your husband's looking for someone. Where are they looking for? And in that conversation, you may need to get some additional information. You actually may want to get something in writing, but you do this long enough and you can go, not for me, but if you send me the proposal, I'll gladly take a moment to, I'll gladly review it and post it out to my network. I just send it, I'll send it to, I'll BCC it to other people. Anyone comes back to me who's interested, I'll send it off to you. You can pass it off to your husband. I'll send it to John myself. You'll really get a good ear and a great eye to what's going to work and serve you best, right? It's just mapping it out and looking to see if from this proposal, from this LinkedIn job posting, from this LinkedIn job request, right? From this request for information, you're looking for clues to the decision maker's pain point, right? Every opportunity like this, every job posting, every request for information, every request for proposal, is someone saying, I have a pain point. I got this problem, I can't fix it. Someone out there can fix it. So I want you to be able to take these documents and really look through and see if you can find the pain point, right? Anything, like I said, anything that's repeated more than 3 times, it's a big part. It's a large aspect of that issue, right? As entrepreneurs, it's the basis of looking for where the scope creep will happen or not happen, right? And then it's a way for you to then make sure that your portfolio, that your LinkedIn profile, that the deck that you hand out highlights your skills in solving that problem. It shows, what other information you gather. Hopefully it has some client testimonials in it that further back and give the social proof for what you can do for them, that you're their dragon slayer, that you can make this problem go away, that you have the solution, that you have the equation to make this all work, right? So you want to align your response to a job posting, a position contract, an RFP that you've assessed, right? It just has to align with your values and your goals. I know you want the money. I want the money for you. But I don't want you to be stressed about it. I don't want you to get over your head. I don't want you to set yourself up for failure. Assessment is important. Doesn't take that long to do. When I went through it with you, I kind of rattled off the things. I've done it for so long. I know green is for money. I know blue is for management. I know pink is for, it's a flag. It's not a red flag, but it's something I want to question. And I want to question early on. And if it's in red, it's like, probably not. I still want to have the conversation. One piece of red, one piece of pink on my assessment, whether it's internal in my head or when I do it on paper or on the screen, doesn't say don't do it. It says, take the interview, submit, apply for this, and let's see where it goes. Throw your hat into the ring and have a conversation. And here's the thing. I know, if nothing else, I know the universe puts me in the path for success of other people. This conversation, I go through this thing and I'm like, oh, wow, I just love the space and the money sounds right. Maybe not for me. I'm going to apply. Or maybe I go, I don't want to reply, but I know how the universe puts me in the path for other people's success. I'm going to call my friend who's in the event space. I'm going to reach out to a connection, maybe that's part of the group that's putting out this request for proposal. Have a conversation and go, not for me, but I know who it's for. I know exactly the 2 people in my network who should be applying for this. They'll go through the guidelines, but I need you to meet with them because I want you to put the name and the face to this proposal that's going to come across your desk or come across your boss's desk, or maybe because of my assistant network that I know, it's literally going to come across your desk to get to her desk. And I want you to be able to flag it. And whether I say that to them directly out loud or they just had a conversation with me and heard a name, that it's in the back of their mind and they'll flag it on their own. It doesn't have to be me. But I can be the key to the solution to someone's problem, right? And so once you get to the point that you can do this mentally, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. I want you to get really good at it because it's for clarity. It's for intention. It's for your alignment. We all say that we want X, Y, and Z, and then we accept offers that are so different from what we say, right? I know this economy right now makes it really difficult to say, I only want to do X, Y, and Z, but sometimes you might take X over 2, Y over 5, and when Z is not even on the picture, because it just has to happen. The funds need to come in. I get that. We say we want a role with autonomy, but then we accept a micromanaging environment because we're not clear in what we and our team can do, we're not intentional in going through and analyzing an opportunity that's not in alignment for us and our business. These night classes are a way to kind of step outside what makes you comfortable, to kind of push a boundary, or maybe go, I'm not pushing that boundary yet. I'm really comfortable with taking 2 more steps towards it. I'm even more comfortable in touching it and going, oh, well, hell, that's not too hard. I can break through this. I really have to break through it. Maybe it's soft enough so I can just push it aside to walk through, right? But you've got to get to that barrier first. So that's what this assessment is. It's going, looks good because the price is right, the location is good. I like the title. Level 5, event coordinator. I like it. I can do that. But does it really serve me well? Right? So you gotta look at that. Sometimes that internal, oh, I can do it. It's a little wishy-washy. It's really not well thought out. It's in your head. I don't know about you. There's a lot of conversations going on up here. And I can look at something and determine it in my head and go, oh yeah, that'd be great. It doesn't turn out great. Or I can go, oh my goodness, that's horrible. It's hard. It's horrible. I don't want to do that. But you actually do it, and it's the best thing for you. So up here sometimes doesn't pull it together in front of your screen, go through and make the colors and make it bold and underline stuff, print it out, take your little colored pens and pencils and do it up to help you make a decision. At least to help you build the, yeah, this is not me. Or, oh my fucking God, this is so, I can do all these things. It all falls in my wheelhouse. I want it. And sometimes it's, this is everything I could do. Who the hell has the time? I don't have time for this. But Julie has the time. This is great for Julie. Yeah. Look, Julie, I'll even do the assessment for Julie based on what I know and go, does this seem like you? This is you, right? You should apply. You should fill out the application for this opportunity. Right? You want to make it helps you determine if your personal and professional boundaries are clearly laid out and if you are honoring them. Because sometimes we have boundaries, but we don't, they're there. They exist. It's written down somewhere. But do you actually adhere to them, right? So that's what this is for. I want you to reflect on roles, find out this company, this title, this opportunity. You know, is this some cachet in having this as a person, this company as a client? Or is this client a potential PITA? Y'all know what PITA stands for. And you know, does the money and the scope and the time frame, it's gonna be a pain in the ass client, but I'll take it. Or, yeah, I don't want it. Right? Find out what your boundaries are. Are your boundaries having remote work, having hybrid work, working in Silicon Valley? Just something that aligns with you. Every opportunity that says stylist is not for you if it's not within your boundaries, right? Because maybe you don't want to work with kids or animals, but this particular opportunity is for styling kids and animals for a commercial. I mean, maybe it's a role that's 50% of the time traveling and you have a new relationship, a new child, a new puppy, and you know, 50% traveling just doesn't work for you. Everything else is good, but not that. Again, most of us devote our time and energy and our bandwidth to our clients, to our customers, because we know exactly what makes them tick, right? You know that that particular client needs this to happen in this way. Because knowing them and knowing your audience is the reason why they picked you. It's the reason why they buy their product or their service from you. It's the reason why you can get them to buy more time, more of your time, or at a higher price for you because you know them. But I really want you to take that skill set that you focus outward and occasionally turn it around to find out what works best for you. So is this role, is this opportunity really made for you? Because if I know nothing else, I know that your mental calculations are unmatched, right? Until you have to focus that on you. Until you have to focus that on your business, on the time and the energy to devote to seeking opportunities that serve you best. We don't all do it. We don't all do it all the time. I want us to do it more, right? Be really clear at what calls to your knowledge, skills, and abilities, and where you're finding these requests from, right? I hope that you're finding these requests from your network. I really hope that part of your network includes this collective. And we'll talk about other parts of your network in a future night class. How to best use everything around you to consistently have referrals coming into you. So you have questions, drop them into the chat, send them on the post in the collective space, and we'll get out to that. Remember, at the end of the day, be clear and intentional when exploring an opportunity. Whether you're an employee, a consultant, you are the solution to healing their pain. You are the solution to their pain point. You are the dragon slayer to their biggest issue. Remember, every business exists, including yours, to solve a problem and to make money for its stakeholders. Whether the stakeholders a Fortune 500 company, a family-run business, or a one-person agency, remember that. So I encourage you, dare I say, I challenge you, to look a little deeper, to be a bit more introspective, and have a well thought out plan of attack in securing the bag. That's it. I want to thank you for your time and your attention this evening. If you have any questions and you want to follow up, connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, or by email. Put the slide for you for that. Email is the most direct way to get in touch with me, because someone in addition to me monitors that account. And I wish you well. I'll see you at the next night class.